All right. So, hi, everyone. We are here with Leslie Ferguson, RVT, who we will be asking some questions and talking to about her change in career from being in practice to being in industry. As you all know, being in veterinary medicine means that we have a plethora of career options as veterinary professionals. And sometimes we need to transition from practice to an alternative career. And so we're kicking off this series of talking about how to pivot, again with Leslie Ferguson, and we'll be talking to many others who will have other career changes that they've made. Well, welcome, Leslie.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Of course, of course. So, just to start off, tell us a little bit about your journey in veterinary medicine.
As Dr. Price mentioned, I'm a registered veterinary technician, and I've been registered since 2002 and started off in small animal practice. I loved the school that I went to. I did my undergrad work at Purdue, and then several years later went back and got my vet tech degree from Purdue's College of Veterinary Medicine. And we had just a really great opportunity as technicians to learn alongside DVM students. And I enjoyed it. I loved the large animal and the small animal, but worked in small animal practice and just really enjoyed the education part of it, the working with clients, the pets, and the staff. I mean, these are my people. Veterinary medicine people are my people. And so it's always been a joy. But I had a really, I think, unique experience of knowing people outside of vet med, and that kind of helped me see possibilities of things I could do outside of veterinary medicine.
Nice, nice. Well, talk to us a little bit. I know that you said you graduated in 2002 from Purdue's nursing school, and you started in practice, and then you maybe transitioned into an industry position. Can you tell us how you transitioned, how you learned about that position, and what that position was?
Well, back in the day, in the practice I worked at in West Lafayette, Indiana, our territory manager for Marielle was one of my good friends from undergrad, and she had been in doing a lunch and learn, I think on heartworm prevention, which is has been a huge topic for many years in all parts of the country. And so Gina and I have been good friends for a while, and she just mentioned to me after that lunch and learn that there was an opportunity to cover for a couple of maternity leaves. So two girls within her region were going out on maternity leave kind of back to back, and they needed somebody to cover for that. And she thought I would be great. And I hadn't really thought about moving into industry, especially that early in my career, because I don't just had been out not very long at all. And even back then, I think I had a little bit of, I'm ready to do something else because people are crazy at times. And you just, when you get that day in, day out in the practice, like you need to take a step back. And so I'm like, okay, let me learn a little bit about this. And so that was the fun part. So I worked in the Chicagoland area for about 6 months with Marielle as a temporary territory manager, and then had the opportunity, once that role was finished, to move into an inside sales position in their corporate headquarters outside of Atlanta, and was there for a short amount of time because my goal was to have my own territory. So kind of had to prove myself with my own clients, and then was given a territory in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. And I loved it. It's a great opportunity to stay in vet med and use your education as far as working with the teams. I mean, I think that was a really fun part for me, going from clinic to clinic and developing those relationships, helping them understand why flea tick and heartworm prevention is really important, why vaccines are important, and helping them communicate that to their clients. And I enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun.
Nice. And so, do you think that some of the skills that you had as a technician and working in practice, do you think that that translated over into this position in sales?
It does, I think, because you learn, I think, resilience, because you have days you walk in and everything is different. Like in vet med, you can't guarantee that every day is going to be the same. And so that's part of it, being able to be resilient and work with different people and different cases, and then moving that into, okay, I have a new goal that I have to reach, and how I'm going to do that, and how am I going to talk to veterinarians and front office staff and technicians about it. And so I think that not only my education as a veterinary technician, but also my undergrad degree, I think was helpful in me just really being able to enjoy talking to people. I'm such an introvert, but every role I've ever had has really been one where I have to be an extrovert. And so maybe that's crazy. I don't know, but it's been something that I think has been fun for me because it's a challenge to be able to get out and speak in front of people and do presentations. And in college, I probably the biggest presentation I ever did was in front of like 10 or 15 people. But in my, my industry career, I've spoken in front of thousands of people. So, it's nice to be able to grow those challenges or things that are a challenge to me and be able to do better and bring veterinary technology to the
Right.
forefront and say, hey, I can do something that's a little outside the box, but I still really enjoy it.
Nice, nice. So that does seem like a really fun position to take on, and I can imagine that if you walk into a clinic and you don't have the experience of being in a clinic, there's not that much trust there with them, as far as trying to talk to them about different products, because they're probably thinking, oh, you have no idea how it works in here. But you did because you had worked in a practice before.
It's so
Um,
easy to build that trust when you have been in their shoes because
mhm.
they know I know what it's like when you've had 5 euthanasias in one day, and that's a lot. And you can really understand and be empathetic about what is happening. And so one, they understand that I know from a medicine standpoint about the products, why they should be used, when they should be used, when other opportunities should be looked at, medication wise or surgery wise. Because I understand that, there's a really initial rapport that you can build as a veterinary professional when you're going into a clinic that you don't know. And so I think that was really easy for me to gain rapport with my clinics, veterinarians, front office staff, technicians, assistants, because they know that I've walked in their shoes and done that job. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. So it sounds like this job kind of stumbled upon you, or you stumbled upon this job. Did you have any idea that something like this was an option in veterinary medicine when you were going to school or when you were going through your technician nursing program?
I don't think I did. I got into veterinary nursing the way many people do because you love animals. My undergrad degree is in liberal arts, and I was working in publishing, and we were publishing these general reference books about cats and dogs, and so they were letting us bring our pets into the office. And one day I'm like, why can't I just work with animals? Because I just wanted to like not do what I was doing, and that's how I got into vet med. But I think vet med is really can be a stepping stone. There's this basic understanding of, you can be a vet, you can be an office manager, you can be a nurse, you can work in referral, you can work in private practice, you can work in ambulatory, there's a lot of different things you can do. But I don't think we're not always presented with the opportunities that we can do outside of that, like government work, industry work, pharmaceutical or nutrition companies. And so there's just a lot out there. And I don't think I ever knew that was an opportunity until, because I knew Gina, I
Yeah.
sort of had that inkling because I knew what she did, what her role was. But outside of that, it was not a goal of mine. So
Hear you here. Yeah. And I think that like it seems too like just knowing that you have options really helps when you're ready to transition to something different. So talk to us a little bit about like where you are now, what happened, like, did you go back into practice? What are you up to? Like, how are you using your skills now and
well,
since?
I started using my skills again after a huge break. So I was working with animal health pharmaceutical companies for more than 10 years and moved from sales into marketing. And I love marketing. It's a lot of fun. It's a big challenge. And so I had done that mostly, but right before the pandemic, maybe a year before, we had moved, and I started taking her when we got adopted a new dog. Started taking her to a practice that's kind of close to our house, and they had all these RVTs, and I was super excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're great. And then they knew about Fear Free, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a great clinic. So I was very happy I found them. And while I was there, they're like, hey, do you ever want to work part time? We were always looking for technicians. And so, because I had such a good rapport with the technicians that I met on that first visit, I decided to start working part time again. So I work, Saturday here, Saturday there in private practice. So I'm using my technician nursing skills, but I'm also using those as the director of marketing communications for Black DVM Network, which is a new role for me. And I'm loving it because it's marrying the things that I love most, veterinary medicine and working in the marketing side of things and being able to communicate and help educate with a demographic that is obviously very close to my heart and wanting to be able to see that diversity in veterinary medicine. So I think it's marrying all those things together that I love.
Yeah, you're such a multifaceted veterinary professional. You've just about done it all, is what it sounds like.
I feel like, yeah, well, when you've been around as long as I have, you have the opportunity to do more than just one thing. So I just like
Yeah.
to say I'm seasoned, I guess. I'm well seasoned in veterinary medicine.
Well, I mean, I think that it's been really great, and thank you for being willing to share your story with everyone around your journey in vet med. Because I think that a lot of times we assume that everyone's kind of has the same pathway, and we don't know what other people are doing and how they're moving and shaking in this industry. If you had to give like someone one piece of advice as far as transitioning goes, maybe from practice to industry or some other type of alternative career in vet med, what do you think you would tell them, or what would be your biggest piece of advice?
I think looking to your connections is really important. It doesn't matter, I think, where you come from. It's just kind of where you want to go. And maybe you haven't had outside sales experience or working for a lab or working for USDA or something like that. Just because you haven't had any of that experience doesn't mean that you can't. So working with your connections and asking people to introduce you to others that they may know. Vet med is a really small, a very small industry. I think everybody knows everybody else, or at least you know somebody who knows that person that you're trying to get to. And so really just keeping your mind open and talking to people about opportunities as you're, even before you're wanting to look for something, just so that if you have a question about a particular role, you have somebody sort of in your back pocket that you can go to and ask questions about. So they can help refer you to somebody else with more information. But just keeping those connections open and genuinely networking, because it's invaluable, particularly in vet med.
Nice, nice. Well, that is a beautiful piece of advice. Obviously, everyone's welcome to come network with us at Black DVM Network, and we're so happy to have Leslie as our Director of Marketing and Communications. And again, thank you so much for sharing your journey. If you all want to hear more about alternative careers in veterinary medicine, we'll be interviewing a few more people, talking about some medical director positions, leadership positions, positions in research, positions in labs, things like that. So stay tuned and check us out.
Thanks, everyone.